Good morning again. Pastor Dave here at Precision Valley Baptist Church with this morning's video devo as we keep looking at the reality of the war in our series, Let's Get Ready to Rumble. And had kind of something cute happen. You know, I've mentioned before that I'm a new papa, and I'll probably mention it again and again and again. But last week when he brought the baby home, some of you that know me know that I've got three dogs, little dogs, and well, actually my wife has three dogs. I just feed them and clean up after them and whatnot. But anyway, the first time that the baby cried after coming home, I wish that I'd been fast enough to get a picture of the perplexed look on the dogs' faces. They were suddenly keenly aware that there was something going on, something different in the house. They began to bark and whine and weren't quite sure what to make of that little squeak that the baby was making. And it got me thinking, you know, we need to become just as aware of what's going on around us and within us in the midst of this spiritual warfare. We've talked a good bit so far about the reality of it. I want to convince you because I think there's so many that sort of blow this off. I need you to know and to believe and to understand that the warfare going on is real. And so today I just want to share a little bit about some of the things, some of the ways that the war becomes visible or becomes tangible in our lives, how we might know about it, how the attacks come in our personal life. One of them is, have you ever had a thought in your head and you just wondered, where in the world did that thing come from? Where did that thought come from? You know, it can be crazy. It can be driving down the highway and, you know, suddenly I should drive my car into that tree. And, you know, that's not a normal thought, those things. And so sometimes you get these thoughts that come out of nowhere, these imaginations that you don't really fully understand. Well, I believe that not maybe all the time, but a good portion of the time, that those are spiritual warfare thoughts and that there's a war waging. And the reality is, it's as one author put it, the battlefield's in your mind. And so I just want to let you know those thoughts might be evidences of the warfare in your life. Another thing is voices, and I don't mean, you know, kind of like what we often joke about or hear about, the voices in my head. I mean the things that kind of replay themselves, things that cause us to feel like we failed or that we've disappointed others, or oftentimes that we've disappointed or failed God. Remember, one of the names that I mentioned for Satan is the accuser of the brethren, and this is how that shows up in our lives. Those tapes, those accusations of things, probably things that we really have done, keep playing in our minds, and we keep carrying the burden of that guilt, because his job is to keep us in that place where we feel guilty. And one of the ways that happens is these voices keep replaying in our heads like a tape on a automatic rewind and replay setting. And so that may be another way that the spiritual warfare is showing up in our lives and causing us to feel discouraged and despondent. The visions, you know, as much as the audio replays in our minds, the visions of things that we've seen or done may also replay in our minds. It's why I've mentioned before, pornography is such a dangerous thing, because once those images are in your mind, they're there to stay, and the devil has a way of replaying those things at the very inopportune times. You may be in the middle of a prayer time, and all of a sudden an image that from your past, maybe years back, is there before you, and it distracts you, and it gets you to stop focusing on your prayer, which is one of the things the devil really wants to do, is to get us distracted when we're trying to get serious about prayer. And then also it gets your mind totally off track. And so those are ways. Illnesses and pain. Now, I'm not one that believes that every illness and every pain is demon sent. But clearly we know in Scripture that there are demonic forces at work in illnesses and in pains. And, you know, it might be if there's no other explanation for your illness, or maybe even if there is an explanation for it, it might still be that those are ways that the war is manifesting itself in your life. And then finally, one more is compromise and tolerance. Those are words that generally have a pretty positive message in our world today. But when you start letting go of your beliefs, or when you start chipping away at the foundation of your faith to make others more comfortable, when you begin to tolerate things that ought not to be tolerated, that too may be a sign of the warfare and the battle that is being waged. Back in the Old Testament, there was when the Israelites were crossing over into the Promised Land, God established with them under their new leader Joshua that one of the things they were to do was to drive out the inhabitants of the land, those that were already there. And they went and they began, of course, we know the Battle of Jericho where the walls came down. But even at that very moment, the Israelites, many in that nation, were beginning to live lives of compromise and lives of tolerance. And before long, we find where they had neglected what God had told them, the very clear direction, and begun to keep these folks around and let them stay in the land because they thought, well, we can enslave them. It's interesting, they had just come out of slavery. Their nation had been enslaved in Egypt for 400 years, and they knew the damages of it, and here now they were willing to make other nations their slaves. And then also because they sought the tribute from them. And you can look that up there in the stories of Joshua and in the Chronicles and Judges of their experiences and how that played out and how still today we see the battle. So you see compromise and tolerance, while we recognize them as good relational tools, they may also be a tool of the devil working in our lives to get us to let go of things that we would cling to. I just hope that today you're becoming a little more aware of the battle, a little more aware of the warfare, because it's real. It's out there. The devil is going about like a prowling lion, roaring lion, seeking whom he may destroy and devour. And we need to know it. We need to know he's at work, sometimes in very subtle ways in our lives, and sometimes in big ways. So be ready for the war, because it's coming. We're in it. We're engaged in it. Let's get ready to rumble. This is Pastor Dave at Precision Valley Baptist Church, welcoming you to join us Sunday mornings at 10 o'clock. We're getting ready for our Easter celebration coming up. Got a lot of great things planned, and of course we've got a lot of things. We've got some things planned for the children as well, coming on April 17th, the Easter egg hunt, and going to have a great time here at the church. Wednesday nights we have family night. We would invite you to come and join us. It's a covered dish. Bring a dish to share, and we'll have a great time. We've got a youth group that meets after supper, as well as some activities for the kids. And the adults will meet for prayer and a brief study as we go through the book of James, verse by verse. But I would encourage you, make your way somewhere this Sunday to a fellowship of faith and worship. You'll find us on the web at pv-bc.org. Also look us up on Facebook under PVBC as our group page, or myself, Dave Bentley, pastor here. I look forward to meeting with you again. I hope that you enjoyed today, and may God bless you. And again, be ready. The war's real, and it's out there.